got some new notebooks to show you. I talked about Moleskine and Leuchtturm before, but there's some new ones I've been using which are just wonderful. So if you want to go beyond Moleskine and Leuchtturm, take a look at these. There's your Moleskine and a Leuchtturm. We might do some comparisons in a minute, but first of all I want to talk about this beauty, Baron Fig. Gorgeous notebook. I've really had fun using this. First of all, it comes in this amazing presentation box. They really know how to do presentation, Baron Fig. They've thought about a lot of the details of the aesthetic of the notebook as well. It only comes in this colour. The surface isn't the smooth, sort of hard leatherette, for want of a better word, of the Leuchtturm or Moleskine. It's a more textured canvas, so you can draw on the cover if you want to. It's got this lovely yellow band, the bookmarker, the marker ribbon. So you've got the yellow grey. It's like a smart gentleman in a grey summer suit with a yellow tie, sort of. You'll notice there's no elastic to keep the book shut. I don't know what that's called, the closer, the elastic hold. Doesn't have that. Size-wise, it's very similar to the Moleskine. It's a bit shorter. Can you see that? And the Leuchtturm is obviously going to be wider, but only by a little bit, taller and wider. So it's a little slimmer than the Moleskine and the Leuchtturm. It's also a little lighter than either of them, but the quality is on the inside as well. It's lovely paper. I went for a dotted one. I've been enjoying dotted notebooks lately. They also do lined and plain, obviously. But the thing about the Baron Fig, and with these other notebooks I'll talk about in a minute as well, the binding is just superb. It opens totally flat wherever you open it in the notebook. You can just have a beautifully flat notebook, flat writing surface. It's just a pleasure to use. It's fantastic, and the paper quality is really good. I've been using a fountain pen on it. This is a Parker 51, and all my fountain pens, of all of them, this is the one with the thickest, richest lines. I thought it would test it out. Excuse my handwriting. This is a lovely Baron Fig notebook. Just on other papers, that ink would be very heavy and might spread a bit. You might also get a bit showing through, which you don't really hear because it's just really good quality paper. There's no page numbers like you'd get with the Leuchtturm, so if that's very important to you, then ask Baron Fig to make a notebook with page numbers. But I've really been enjoying it. You've got a lovely little square to personalise at the front, and I'm not going to show you what I've been writing in it because it's mainly gibberish, but I really recommend checking out the Baron Fig notebook, particularly if you're a fan of the Moleskine and the Leuchtturm and want to try something a bit different, a bit more stylish, very classy, just an all-round great quality notebook, very handy, very light. Something that makes me feel like I'm holding a beautifully designed object. Just a pleasure to use. So I recommend Baron Fig. Now I want to move on to a couple of more specialised notebooks, which really are a joy for anyone who uses a fountain pen. If you use a fountain pen, then you've got to check out this paper in these notebooks. This first one is from paperforfountainpens.com. It's not the same kind of dimensions as a Moleskine or a Leuchtturm or a Baron Fig. If anything, it's maybe a little small. Compare it to the Baron Fig. It's tall and sort of a little narrower, so it's a kind of portrait shape in an exaggerated way, more than the Moleskine, Leuchtturm or Baron Fig. It doesn't come with this nice ribbon. I put that in, but what it does come with is absolutely gorgeous paper if you're using a fountain pen. It's called Tomoe River paper. It's from Japan, and it's quite difficult to get in a notebook, but if you can, look how thin it is. It's an amazing paper. I don't understand how it works. It's very thin paper, which means you have many, many more pages in a notebook. There's 360 pages in this notebook, but it's still really light. And I don't understand how it works, but you can use this, my fountain pen, which has a very thick ink. Remember, the Parker 51, it's a lot of ink out in one go, and yet still it doesn't show through, even less so than in a Baron Fig, but just the flow of the nib across the paper is absolutely amazing. It's just so smooth, it makes me want to write and write more and more all day. It's just such a joy. And if you turn that over, there's hardly a thing through there. That's the thickest that it'll get, that's the darkest that it'll get on the other side. With most of my fountain pens, you don't see a thing on the other side. It just depends what kind of nib you're using, but this is, I've tested it with the thickest one possible. But just the way that it flows across the page is absolute joy. I just want to do this forever. It's not really even paper, it's like a bit of someone's soul, and I just think it's phenomenal. So I've really been enjoying writing in this one. No page numbers, they don't do a lined one, they don't do a dotted one, it's just plain, it's just these dimensions, they don't come in other colours. The binding, like the Baron Fig, is wonderful. You can open this up and write pretty much anywhere without hindrance, without it being annoying that you can't get to the edge of the pages or anything like that. And if you want to take things to the next level with the same Tomoe River paper, let me show you this one. And this combines some of the design genius with this beautiful aesthetics and the wonderful paper. If you use a fountain pen, I really recommend this one. This is 7C's writer notebook from nanamipaper.com. It comes in this lovely box. Slip it out. The joy of this notebook is amazing. Look at that binding. It's just, every detail is sheer quality, just class. You can open that out, it's totally flat. That's the most wonderful writing surface I can imagine. Little details like it's got 2 ribbons. I quite like that, 2 thin ribbons. This one's lined, you'll notice. And it's the same amazing thin, smooth Tomoe River paper. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, the flow across the page just makes me want to write all day. Absolutely gorgeous. You probably can't read my handwriting, but honestly, I can't get enough of this paper. If you use a fountain pen, this is a notebook that you're going to love. I just want to write in it all day. All 3 of these notebooks are wonderful. I really recommend them. I can't pick holes in them the way that I could pick holes in a Moleskine notebook. Really, if I'm going to get into being incredibly fussy, I do like page numbers. That's the advantage the Leuchtturm has over them, but I think the guys who've made these notebooks are going for something a little different. They're not going for something so esoteric as page numbers. Certainly the Baron Fig guys have thought about every detail and decided against them. The Paper for Fountain Pens and nanamipaper.com guys, they're just all about the beauty of the book, the quality paper, the quality binding. I'm going to just spend some time alone with this notebook now and my fountain pen and enjoy writing with it. Enjoy your notebooks.